Welcome to the Gatemen pregame show presented by South Coast Health. I'm Sam Corman, joined by Jacob Tobey and Connor Federico, the dynamic three here at Spillane Field as always. And the Gatemen coming off a really tough loss to the Chatham Anglers yesterday, in which they were tied 2-2 heading into the eighth inning. Let's check out the highlights from that 8-2 loss here against an Eastern Division opponent. Gatemen taking on the Anglers last night at Spillane Field. Griffin Roberts on the hill, slider inside corner. Good by Jacob Olson, top half of the first. Moving to the bottom, the Gatemen of the base is loaded, and a tough play. Blake Sable grounds out, leaves the runners stranded all around. The Gatemen left a lot of runners on base in this game. We'll pick it up in the second inning. Stephen Kwan grounded to short, RBI for him, scoring Tristan Pompey. The Gatemen take an early 1-0 lead. We'll pick it up in the third. Griffin Roberts, slider, goodbye. Josh Shaw, the leadoff guy, the leading hitter for Chatham, down, swinging, strikeout number 4 for Griffin Roberts. Pick it up in the fifth. Griffin Roberts facing Antonio Relat, opposite field, base hit. Scoring on that play, Nick Patton from third base to tie the game at 1 in the fifth. That wasn't it for Chatham in that fifth inning. Just one batter later, it's Mason Coppins. Infield play, tough play for Duran in E4, and that allows Fabian Pena to come in and score from third base, giving the Anglers a 2-1 lead. But the Gatemen would respond in the bottom half of the fifth. Kyle Kasser, opposite field, base hit, scoring Stephen Kwan, and that would tie the game at 2, about halfway through this one. By the way, more Griffin Roberts, swing and a miss. Nick Patton gone. That was the final strikeout of the day. Number 7 for Griffin Roberts. That would be his total. Jordan Britton comes on in relief, and this is a just bomb by Shea Langoliers over the center field wall. Hung a breaking ball on a 3-2 count. Langoliers makes him pay. 4-2 Chatham after that one. After surrendering 2 more hits, Jordan Britton gives up this single to Josh Stowers past the diving Ben Baird at shortstop. That one gets by Topo. That allows some runners to advance. John Aiello would score on the play to make it 5-2 Chatham. And a big blow coming here. It's Antonio Relat at the plate. Up the middle, past the diving Baird again. Scoring on that play, Pena and Stowers to make it 7-2 Chatham. A 5-run, 6-hit top half of the eighth for the Anglers. In the ninth, they would add some more. It's an RBI from Fabian Pena. That scores Jacob Olson. That would make it 8-2, and that would be your final score. In the bottom half of the ninth, it's Ben Baird at the plate. Grounds right back to the pitcher, Rodney Hutchinson Jr. Flips over to Nick Patton to end the game. The Gatemen fall 8-2 to the Anglers. It was certainly a rough outing for the Gatemen bullpen last night, especially for Jordan Britton, the Oregon State Beaver, after he had a really good outing last week against the Bourne Braves. What went wrong for Britton?
First pitch strikes weren't there. I mean, his first inning of work was pretty good. You saw him retire the hitters, but then in that eighth inning, it just all went wrong there. Was not getting the first pitch strikes. His curveball was off line as well, and you really saw the continuous struggle for him. I mean, his first outing was really good, like you said. Didn't let up any earned runs then, so that's what you get when you're coming to the Cape. We've talked about it multiple times. Guys will come here, they'll struggle. He didn't pitch a lot of innings at Oregon State, so this is good for him. He's learning from this mistake, and I'm sure he'll be better going forward.
Yeah, he hung a 3-2 breaking ball to a really good power hitter in Shea Langoliers, and that's going to hurt any time Langoliers hit a 2-run shot in that inning. The Gatemen hitters weren't very impressive last night either. They kind of just got rolled over by the Chatham pitching staff. So what happened there?
Well, at least they were better than the game against the YD Red Sox when they only put 3 hits together, one each in the 9th, 10 in the 11th inning. This time, Tristan Pompey had a good night. He had 2 base hits. The Gatemen, they got some runs together, 1 run and another run. You leave it at 2, that's not going to get the job done, even when you have a guy like Griffin Roberts on the mound yesterday who went 6 innings and was fantastic. And the 6 innings, that was the most we've seen out of any Gatemen pitcher. So the Gatemen, they really just have to regroup now. They need to do a little better today against the Brewster Whitecaps. We'll see.
Our Claudia came and talked with head coach Don Sneddon.
Back to you, Sam.
Welcome back to the Gatemen pregame show presented by South Coast Health. The starting pitching for the Gatemen has been pretty impressive despite these last 2 losses. Justin Montgomery on Sunday, Griffin Roberts on Monday, and now today Miller Hogan. What's he have to do to kind of replicate that?
Well, Miller Hogan, we saw him last time versus Bourne here at Spillane Field. 5 strong innings, 6 strikeouts, no earned runs. He's only let up 3 earned runs this whole season for the Gatemen so far, so he's looked really well. The right-hander out of St. Louis. I like his power fastball. I like his off-speed stuff. Get ahead of the hitters early on tonight against this lineup, and you should be good to go.
And for the Brewster Whitecaps, it's going to be Joe Molitier out of Monmouth.
And Molitier coming out of Monmouth. He struggled a little bit during the spring. He'll be the starter tonight for the Whitecaps, but mostly came in a relieving role. Does have some starts under his belt from his spring season. He comes at you with a 4-seam fastball, a 2-seam fastball, changeup, and then also a slider. That's mostly his put-away pitch, similar to what the Gatemen saw last night out of the Chatham pitcher, Bergner, who they didn't have success against. So maybe they're seeing a similar pitcher. They need to sort of regroup. They need to get themselves together. It'll be a similar pitching style, and that might help you. Even though it's not the same pitcher, you're seeing similar pitches out of a right-handed arm for the second day in a row. These Gatemen hitters, they need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, the Gatemen pitching. Miller Hogan has coming into today with a 2.08 ERA. He's been really good, especially in his past 2 or 3 outings. We'll send it to break here on the Gatemen pregame show presented by South Coast Health. The Gatemen would like to remind you that you can reach out to the press box at pressbox@gatemen.org. That's pressbox@gatemen.org. Shoot any questions, comments, and concerns, as well as reach out to us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and SoundCloud. We're here with Matt Feld, our beat writer, once again, for our segment Feld at the Field, or Felder's Choice, whichever one you prefer. I mean, you can decide. But big starting pitching has really come through for the Gatemen recently. Justin Montgomery a few days ago, Griffin Roberts yesterday. What can Miller Hogan out of St. Louis do to kind of build off that?
Yeah, the Gatemen have found themselves quite a 1-2 tandem in Justin Montgomery and Griffin Roberts. Justin Montgomery, of course, 21 scoreless innings. Griffin Roberts, meanwhile, with a 2.25 ERA over 20 innings. They also are tandem in terms of tied for the lead in strikeouts with 24. And Miller Hogan can certainly build on just that. Miller Hogan's been great in his last 2 outings. We saw him against Katuitt, pitched 5 shutout innings, and then against Bourne, 5 shutout innings, using his terrific changeup against both righties and lefties, and a great slider. So hopefully he can build off that tonight, and the Gatemen can keep on rolling. And what's been, between the tough results of the Gatemen have had the last couple of days, they've gotten one constant, and that's been great starting pitching.
Yeah, and a pretty crowded outfield here for the Gatemen this season, and it hasn't been as crowded as you'd think it would be because Tristan Pompey has been DHing almost every time he's been in the lineup. Today he's in the outfield. He's playing one of the corner outfield positions. What do you think you're going to see out of Tristan Pompey defensively?
Head coach Don Sent's been kind of antsy to get Pompey into the field. He had a bit of an injury that kept him sidelined, but he's healthy and he's ready to go. He's going to play right field tonight, and it creates a whole new dynamic. The Gatemen are now a little more versatile in the field. Luke Bonfield, who's had to play a lot of right field, who I know head coach Don Sent wanted to work at first base. He can primarily play first base and DH. Jake Anchio can play first base like he is tonight. It just opens up another spot for another Gateman bat to get into the lineup, because before Pompey had to take up the DH spot. You weren't going to take him out of the lineup, of course, because of his bat, and so as a result, he was using a DH spot, and now that's open to other players. Robbie Metz, when he's not in the field. As I said, Jake Anchio, when he's not in the field. Willie McIver, when he wants a day off from the field. So all of a sudden, now the Gatemen have a much different lineup and a much deeper lineup with another spot open.
Awesome stuff. You heard it. Tristan Pompey making his fielding debut today for the Gatemen. And we will return to the Gatemen pregame live presented by South Coast Health after this short break. Welcome back to the Gatemen pregame show presented by South Coast Health. Brewster Whitecaps have a pretty loaded lineup top to bottom. It's pretty surprising that they're in the middle of the Eastern Division right now. But who are you looking for out of all these guys in this Brewster lineup?
Oh, it's Chandler Taylor, no doubt about that. He's an absolute slugger out of Alabama. Was in the home run derby for the college for college this season, and he was just tremendous. He actually hit a home run, a 2-run shot last time versus the Gatemen at Brewster. So watch out for him. Maybe at Spillane Field he can drive it the opposite way to the right field, because we know that is a short part, maybe the shortest part here at Spillane. There's no real short parts here, though, because it's a major league ballpark. But, yeah, this guy can hit a home run. He also gets on base a lot. He can walk. This team, this Brewster lineup, is the only team with over 100 walks for any Cape League team this season, so they can get on base. He can as well.
And what's the key to the game for the Gatemen here at this Major League ballpark, this playing field?
Well, I mean, Jacob just said they do lead the league in walks, but they're also among the league leaders in strikeouts, which is sort of rare when you combine those two together. As of recently, the Brewster Whitecaps, they've been striking out a lot, and for the pitcher today, Miller Hogan, that curveball, he can really work that away from hitters or down low in the zone where he can't get hurt, and he's going to get these hitters to chase a lot. They're free swingers, a lot of power guys like Taylor that you just talked about, Jacob, and that's really going to help the Gatemen today. If Miller Hogan and maybe if we see Tanner Dodson after him and whoever else comes out of the bullpen, just, be safe, throw those 0-2, 1-2 pitches out of the zone, get those hitters to chase. That's the key for them.
And one more thing, it could go either way. They could either walk a lot tonight or they could either strike out a lot tonight. So you have to be careful if you're Miller Hogan on the mound with that curveball.
Yeah, thanks for watching the Gatemen pregame show presented by South Coast Health. First pitch between the Whitecaps and the Gatemen at 6:30 p.m. on the Gatemen Baseball Network. Miller Hogan is a starter today. What do you expect to see out of him?
I expect to see a fastball going around 94 miles an hour, breaking ball, which has been working the past couple outings. He had 5 strikeouts last time versus Bourne. So get ahead early in the count. You should be good tonight. But this lineup, though, they can slug some home runs.
A.J. Graffinino is not a home run hitter, but he's going to step in first. The leadoff guy for the Brewster Whitecaps. We'll run through the lineup in just a second, but Miller Hogan's ready for first pitch here at Spillane Field. Game number 25 today for the Wareham Gatemen. And here is the pitch from the righty, Miller Hogan. The first pitch is swung on, in flied out, straight to center field. Stephen Kwan waits under it and makes the grab for the first out of the game. Stephen Kwan, you heard him just now out there in center. Let's run through the Gateman defense before we take you through this Brewster lineup. Left to right in the outfield, John Topa in left, Stephen Kwan in center, Tristan Pompey making his fielding debut for the Gatemen in right field. In the infield, left to right, Robbie Metz at third, Kyle Kasser at short, Jaron Duran at second, Jake Anchia, the usual catcher, getting the start at first base. William McIver is today's catcher out of Washington, catching for Miller Hogan, and he delivers the second pitch of the game on the inside corner, called strike by today's home plate umpire, Pat Sparky Burns. We'll run through the Brewster lineup in just a second after Miller Hogan delivers the 0-1 pitch. Taking his time, nodding off a few different pitches from McIver, and now delivers a changeup in there for a strike. 0-2. Way out in front of that one was the Alabama Crimson Tide and dangerous hitter Chandler Taylor. You just saw A.J. Graffinino. He led off at shortstop, flew out to center. Chandler Taylor is at bat right now. He's in right. He's hitting second. Mickey Gasper is catching. He'll hit third. The pitch fouled away. Michael Curry, the DH, will bat cleanup. Kyle Datris is at third base. He will bat fifth. Hunter Bishop is in the center. He'll bat sixth. Marty Costas is in left. He will bat seventh. Batting eighth, Julian Infante is at first base. And Nick Dunn, the returning Brewster Whitecap, rounding out the Brewster order, batting ninth at second base. The righty Hogan delivers. Breaking ball cut on and missed by Chandler Taylor. Strikeout number 1, the first one of the game for Miller Hogan, presented by the law offices of Lang, Exafaris, and Bullard.
Nasty stuff there on the breaking ball from Miller Hogan. Talked about that being his second pitch. We're going to see it a lot tonight. And he strikes out a guy in Chandler Taylor who has just been phenomenal this past season.
Yeah, Chandler Taylor, you just saw him. He's a big power hitter. We'll get to more on him next time he comes to the plate. Right now it's the leading Brewster Whitecap hitter in just about every category. It's Mickey Gasper. Today playing catcher. How does a guy like him out of Bryant just end up coming in here and becoming such a prominent guy in this Brewster lineup with all these other big names in here?
Sometimes it doesn't matter where you go to school. It's what you do at this school. You can say that about us. It doesn't matter where we go to school. It's about what we do with the program. And he has done wonders for Bryant over there. And he's such a great hitter all around. He can play multiple positions. He has the power, has the speed. That's why he's in that 3-hole today.
Certainly has most tools required to be successful here in the Cape Cod League. Fouls it back over us 1-2 with 2 out here in the first inning. Miller Hogan is the pitcher for the Gatemen out of St. Louis University, the Billikens. They call that slough out there off the Mississippi River. Gasper, 54 games this season, 342 average for the Bryant Bulldogs. takes a ball and a breaking ball just outside. And the count runs to 2-2.
Sure, he was talking to Nick Angelini before the game.
Absolutely. Teammates over there. Gasper, a catcher, Angelini, an outfielder. Hogan stares down the Brewster Whitecap, and it's low. Full count now. Gasper, perhaps his most impressive stat of all of them at Bryant, was that he walks more than 2 times the amount of his strikeouts, meaning his strikeout to walk ratio is 0.43. The lefty swings and fouls it away, staying alive, and a long count now on Miller Hogan. I believe this will be pitch number 8 coming up in the at-bat. Gasper, a .333 hitter thus far in the Cape League. That leads the Brewster Whitecaps. Hogan facing the lefty, lined foul down the line. Takes a big hop right off the corner of the grass in the gravel over there at first base and goes foul. Other 2 umpires today, we mentioned Pat Sparky Burns behind home plate. Stephen Williams is at first. Ronaldo Cockrum is manning the left side of the infield today. Right now he stands at the third baseline. Hogan struggles a lot more against lefties than he does righties. That makes sense for a righty pitcher. And that pitch is low. Gasper works a walk to extend this inning for the Brewster Whitecaps.
No walks in Hogan's last outing, which has been really impressive. He's only walked 2 batters this whole season so far, and this is now his 5th appearance, so he's had the control all season long.
Gasper on first now. Hogan been really good this year. He comes into today with a 2.08 ERA on the season. He's been a regular starter on this Gatemen pitching staff. Gasper waits off first. The pitch is outside, 1-0. Michael Curry, the designated hitter, at the plate.
We joked about it yesterday. The Gatemen pitching staff now 2nd in the league in walks, which is the first time all season that's happened.
Hogan much more successful this year against righty batters, and that one in there for a strike. Curry looks back at the umpire, Pat Burns, and asks him for confirmation as to what his strike zone might look like today. Everyone's different, of course, in the umpiring world. Throw over to first, nothing doing for Gasper. He gets back in time. Interesting to watch some new fielders and new positions today. Pompey in right, and she has been at first before, but you don't see it that often, so that'll be interesting to watch. Lined into center field. This one will drop over the head of Jaron Duran for a base hit. Gasper got a little bit of a late jump, and because of that, he stops at second. Michael Curry with a single, and now some 2-out magic for the Brewster Whitecaps is brewing up. A runner in scoring position with 2 outs.
That bat might have been broken on that swing there from Michael Curry, but he does the job. He bloops it into shallow right center field, and now 2 runners on with 2 outs here for the Whitecaps.
Kyle Datris is the batter after Michael Curry. The Georgia Bulldog gets on base. Datris, the UNC Tar Heel, now facing Miller Hogan. Mentioned this last time the Brewster Whitecaps played the Gatemen. Datris is from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which means he probably got to grow up going to the Little League World Series, which is pretty cool stuff considering it's in a very small town. Slow roller to first. Picking it up as Anchia flips to Miller Hogan to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base for the Brewster Whitecaps. The Wareham Gatemen coming to bat here on the Gatemen Baseball Network.
When you're sick or injured, you want care when and where it's convenient for you. South Coast Health Urgent Care has 4 locations: Fairhaven, Wareham, and now in Seekonk and Dartmouth. You can view wait times and even check in online at southcoast.org/urgentcare. Choose the time and location that's best for you. We'll even remind you when it's time to come in, and walk-ins are always welcome. Urgent care that exists to meet your needs. More than you expected? That's more than medicine. Check in at southcoast.org/urgentcare.
The Down East Lobster Roll combos are back at the 99 restaurants. Visit today in Centerville, Falmouth, Mashpee, Wareham, or Yarmouth for the best value for lobster rolls on the Cape. The 99, proud sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Welcome back. Joe Mulletier on the mound for the Brewster Whitecaps, the right-handed pitcher. And what do you expect to see from Mulletier today?
Well, he's at a Monmouth, a small school for him, but for here, it doesn't matter. It's not about where you're from, like we just said in that last half inning. He's got a 3.44 ERA here. He pitches a four-seam fastball, two-seamer, slider, and a changeup. So he's got 4 pitches that he really works with here. So if you're a Gatemen hitter, you got to be on your toes because you're going to see a lot of different pitches tonight.
Yeah, that two-seamer, especially effective against lefty batters, I'm sure. And one of those is in the box right now. It's Stephen Kwan. We'll take you through the Gatemen lineup as quickly as possible. Stephen Kwan leading off. He's in the batter's box right now. He plays center field. Mulletier delivers. He shows bunt, pulls it back as he saw that the pitch was low. And it's 1-0 on Kwan. Kyle Kasser's on deck. He's hitting second at shortstop. Willie McIver is in the hole. He's catching. And John Topa cleaning up in left field. Pitches in there for a strike from Mulletier. The count's 1-1. Tristan Pompey making his fielding debut. We mentioned that in the top half. He's in right field, batting 5th. Jake Anchia at first base, batting 6th. Luke Bonfield, the DH today, batting 7th. That one fouled away. Jaron Duran batting 8th at second base, and Robbie Metz, the third baseman, will round out the Gatemen order. For the Brewster Whitecaps in the outfield, left to right in the outfield, Marty Costas in left, Hunter Bishop in center, Chandler Taylor in right. Third base to first base, Kyle Datrish at third. Shortstop, A.J. Graffinino. Second base, Nick Dunn. First base, Julian Infante. Catching for the Brewster Whitecaps, Mickey Gasper. For Joe Mulletier, the Monmouth player. And here he deals a 2-2 outside. Full count to Stephen Kwan. Kwan has just been, he's just known how to get on base. He only has one game this season where he does not have an RBI with the Gatemen since getting here. This is game number 8 for him, and he fouls that one away. He has 7 RBIs on the season, averaging an RBI per game coming into this point. He's been impressive since arriving from the College World Series just a few weeks ago. 12 for 27 so far, and he takes a strike called on the outside corner. He was about a third of the way down to first base, but now he turns toward the dugout. 1 out in the bottom half of the first.
It's funny how you mentioned Kwan in the College World Series. Last time these two teams played, he was still fighting for that World Series title in the tournament. Same with Tristan Pompey. So a couple guys facing this team for the first time here for the Gatemen tonight.
Kyle Kasser steps in, the Oregon Duck, following up an Oregon State Beaver for the Gatemen. Top 3 in this lineup, all Pac-12 hitters, Kwan, Kasser, and McIver. First pitch, he's swinging away, and he hacks it to the second baseman, Dunn, who fields it cleanly and shucks it over to Julian Infante for the second out. 2 quick outs for the Gatemen, just as was the case for Miller Hogan against the Brewster Whitecaps in the top half of the inning.
You like to see that, but Hogan got into not some trouble, but let a couple runners on base in that first inning. So sure Mulletier is looking for the opposite, trying to shut down one of the top hitters here on the Cape in McIver.
William McIver, certainly been a top hitter on the Cape. 333 average thus far. The Washington Husky hits about 4 or 5 spots ahead of his counterpart, A.J. Graffinino, in the normal Washington batting order. You'd often see McIver in the 4 or 5 hole, and then you see Graffinino down at the 7 or 8. So these guys are pretty familiar with each other. The shortstop for the Brewster Whitecaps and today's Gatemen catcher in MacIver. The pitch is high. It's 2-0. Probably one of the more fun parts about coming to the Cape League for these guys is getting the chance to play guys that they usually never play because they're on the same team for an entire season at college. Certainly the case here with MacIver and Graffinino. In there for a strike on a breaking ball. Good pitch from Molitier, 2-1.
Or you could end up on the same team here on the Cape.
Like MacIver and Ben Baird. Not 2 Washington Huskies, and of course there's 2 Yukon Huskies as well. Swing and a miss. MacIver, 2-2. Hacking through that one. Good pitch from Molitier. Changing it up quite a bit.
Talk about, Fioli and Topa.
Yeah,
Yukon.
There was a third in Sam Nepiarski, who was here for a few weeks. Believe he's now in the CCBL. Pitch is low, 3-2.
What team?
Good question. Let's find out. John Topa waits on deck. 2 outs in the first inning, a 0-0 ball game between the Brewster Whitecaps and the Wareham Gatemen here on the Gatemen Baseball Network. I'm Sam Corman. Jacob Tobey doing some research next to me. Takes a pitch inside. MacIver works a walk, so a very similar start to this bottom half of the first inning. And we saw to the top half of the first inning, 2 quick outs, then a walk for each of these pitchers. And John Topa stepping in. He's not a guy who based on what we've seen so far this season, he's not a guy that would be driving in MacIver from first. He'd be a guy that'd be extending this inning with a ground ball through the right side of the infield right now.
Just like Michael Curry extended the inning with a little bloop single back in the first, Topa's kind of the same player.
Topa takes a pitch way inside, about halfway into the batter's box. Able to get out of the way, and it's now 1-0. Topa in the cleanup spot for the first time in a while. Hasn't been in there since the very beginning of the season. Since then, he's been more of a 6 or 7 hole guy, but with a .342 average, why not put him up there hitting 26 for 76 so far, 2-0 on an inside pitch. Tristan Pompey, who had a 2-hit day yesterday, is on deck. Topa, the Yukon Husky, at the plate. The Washington Husky of Willie MacIver at first base. Dealing outside is the pitcher Molitier. Heading out to talk to him is Mickey Gasper.
Yeah, I think that fastball is running a bit outside right now. Talking about control. He walked MacIver just a batter ago, so got to focus that fastball, trying to get it more towards the inside. Not over the plate, but just more towards the outside.
With the switch hitter on deck in Pompey, you think Topa might be taking this pitch all the way, but we'll see what he decides to do. He's moving up quite a ways in the batter's box. Takes a strike on the inside corner, 3-1. Looking over towards the dugout for a sign from the Gatemen head coach, Don Snedden. Topa crowding the batter's box, now moves to the back of it. Grounds it through the left side for a base hit. On to second is MacIver. This inning's about identical to the Brewster inning just a few minutes ago.
The only thing that you said was he'd send it to the gap on the right side of the infield. He pulls it and goes to the left side. Doesn't matter, same thing. Still a single. Like you said, it's the same exact inning as the first, although Quan struck out, not flew out to center. But, I mean, there's still 2 outs recorded, and then 2 guys reach on base, and you got Tristan Pompey coming up now looking to drive in a run.
Well, Tristan Pompey, 2 home runs in his first game, but has none since. Pitches inside. However, he did have 2 hits yesterday. A good day overall in a day where the Gatemen hitters overall were not that good, but Pompey was probably the bright spot, going 2 for 3 with a walk and also a run scored. Outside corner on Pompey, 1-1.
Four for 12 in his last 3 games. Pompey is with a couple runs, a couple walks. He's been better as of late, especially with plate discipline.
A lot of SEC sluggers in this game, especially Pompey and Chandler Taylor. Pompey 10 home runs this year in the SEC. But more impressively, the leader in the whole conference in hits. And here's the pitch. Grounded to the first baseman. Julian Infante runs over to first and steps on the bag for the final out of the inning. So no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left for the Wareham Gatemen on to the second inning. It is 0-0 on the Gatemen Baseball Network. 0-2 on Mets, the George Washington Colonial in the Atlantic 10 Conference. Of course, known for its basketball. Here's the 0-2. Lined into right field. Dropped for a base hit down the line. Quan round second. He's heading for third. He's going to round third and head for home. Here's the throw. Here's the play. Not in time. The Gatemen win. A walk-off double for Robbie Metz. The hero again. How about that? Captain Clutch. Robbie Metz.
Captain Clutch, yes sir. 2 for 2 in walk-offs. Robbie Metz.
And now, 2 outs, runner on first, double down the line. That's basically the only way that you can get Quan across in that situation. And he does it.